Hi, this is Dr. Scott Young. Today we're going to do the fourth of a series, and this one is on pricing. We'll do some interesting statements regarding that. Please like, share this, subscribe. It really helps my channel with it too. Okay, so pricing. Now, if we've already talked about how debt is will be wiped out because they violated the rules. And when we also have a gold-backed currency, we have a raise in the value. So the value of the money goes up, prices will start to drop. The first thing that people always want to say is, we're going to have pricing at 1950s pricing. And I'm like, that's the dumbest thing in the world. If in 1950 you had a car that you bought, will they go back to that prices? Why would they? There's 200 times more technology in the modern car today than there is 1950. So you have to account for that much more effort and technology that you're putting in the car. Number two, prices aren't the same versus the wages. So we're talking about wage versus price issues. Now, people want to use this dumb idiot idea. Sorry, but to be rude, but don't do it anymore, okay? That prices will not be anything like you can possibly imagine. They have to adjust to the market, okay? Now, one of the things that will happen with pricing is going to be related to things that have inflated massively. What kinds of things have it kind of excuse me, overinflated? Well, things that have a high value, so cars are a little bit of that one. Houses are also a massive inflation of value. Let me give you a little interesting point. So Wendy and I moved from a different place in Denver, and it was in Highlands Ranch, and we moved from one house to another. And this is '03, and when we were selling that house, I'm like looking off the distance trying to remember everything. I think it was like 225 or something like that. And I mean, because of the market, that thing just went like lickety split. We could have done it with a company called Help You Sell at the time. We didn't need a real estate agent because it went like so fast. And I mean, 4 days, we already had three offers, and we took the first offer that was really right. And so I went back, and now if prices at the time were 2 or 3%, I don't remember, 3% something. And if I look back, now I went and looked at the pricing on Zillow, and that thing, it was, about 2 months ago, was like 634,000. Now remember, that's almost 20 years later. The house was actually 15 to 20 years old at that point in time. So you're talking about a 40-year-old house that hasn't been updated. You could tell it hasn't been updated. It's 634,000. So now you're talking about that what's raised in price, what 65% more price than what it is, or 2.5 times. Sorry, you'd say like basically 2.5 to almost 3 times the price of that. Sorry, said that wrong first. Um, Now you've got 3% versus a 7 or 8% loan, and I mentioned this before, but there are people having 800 credit, getting 7 or 8% loan on car loans. And there's just a crazy number that basically doubles the price. It puts the price in the past that would have been around a $1,600 loan to, pushing over, actually it's probably lower than that, about $1,500 loan. You're pushing over about $4,000 a month. I mean, so you're just talking crazy numbers. And of course, no one's wanting to pay for that kind of stuff. No one in the markets want to talk about that. And that's why I say the stock market is completely off. It should be tanking. And it will be tanking here real soon. Okay. So prices don't make any sense. And when you have a value of a house that is suddenly, has been going up, and suddenly the uh, equity is now 100%. when we start seeing a gold-backed standard, the U.S. note, what we will start seeing is some of the inflated values go down. What might they be? Again, houses. They might drop by half. I don't know that number. And some people are like freaking out about it. But listen, if you only had 20% down on a $200,000 house, that's $40,000. Okay, so at $40,000, now you have a $200,000 house, but let's say it drops in half. So it's a $100,000 house. Now how much equity do you have? You went from $40,000 to $100,000 in equity. And people think they're freaking out because they think their home prices have reduced, and the answer is no, it hasn't. In comparison to everything else, it's not dropped at all. It's dropped into a reasonable rate that more people in the market can actually buy. So there'll be a drop and kind of a move, maybe a move up here or there. But there has to be a reasonable nature because, having homeless people, having people in rental kind of things, it's not a great thing. You want people owning stuff. And when they own things, they take better care of it. What a great idea. So that's the kind of thing you got to look for. What else might change? Health insurance. I've talked to people about their health insurance issues. I mean, I have a broker, a guy named Brent, and a good friend of mine, and he was talking to me. He goes, I used to be in the broker market for health insurance. He does car and other kind of things. And he goes, I couldn't stay in it because, there turned out after a while, there was 6 and 7 people on top of getting my commission that were in line to get the commission as well as what I'm selling it to you, Scott. And I'm like, this just makes no sense. Here's the reality. Most of the health insurances are having billion-dollar quarters. While you're upset about pharma, you should be. While you're upset at government, the one who's going to get their hiney whooped is going to be the health insurances. They're the ones that are driving it. The billion-dollar quarter profits is an unbelievable number. And that's what's been happening to them because they make tons and tons of money. So health insurance is, for my wife, it's like $650, and that's just of a small policy. It's just ridiculous. And so I think those things will go down by 2, maybe 3 times, and be in a reasonable realm. When we have a reasonable realm, people don't have medical debt in the same way because the health insurance kind of covers it. We also need to see a change in the way that the pricing happens. And I've used this example with a lot of people before, but 3 years ago, just around 3 years, I walked out of a hospital after 3 days. And the hospital staff was really good. I mean, they worked their butt off to try to figure out what was wrong, and it was a miracle healing. So you can go on my channel here and watch that. But the bill came out, and I almost choked. I mean, I swear to you, I was by a trash can. I was like wanting to spit up there. And it was $142,000. Now, the insurance covered $23,700, and then I had to come up with like $1,300. So the bill that they were going to get was $25,000. And I always say, what's the real price of that thing? What's $25,000? Well, why'd they have to bill $142,000 just to get $25,000? See, that's the sick part of the system. I mean, just yesterday, as an insurance person, deal with insurance with our patients, and we billed something just a little bit wrong, lost like $380 per patient. I'm not talking about we billed it wrong. We put it in a slightly different code, and that's our fault. Okay, when it's our fault, we accept that. I have to write that off. Okay, but they look for any little mistake just to mess with you. I swear to you, insurances are they're the devil. And those are the kind of things that need to kind of get their heinies whooped. No one here in the world likes insurances. Car insurance companies have the same silliness. Home insurance, they always look to screw you. This is the whole point that the system has to happen. And so we have to see a balance, a readjustment of the pricing. And when we start seeing that, those are soft costs, basically things that don't have a cost of good inside of it, that you can reduce the pricing almost immediately. Now, things that cannot be have a reduction very quickly is, for instance, like this iPhone. So an iPhone has a cost of goods sold, COGS, and so there's a particular amount of money that you have for the cameras and the glass and all the other stuff. And so there's a particular cost of goods sold that comes out. And you've got to still honor that as the company. So you've got to pay those amounts. But once those things start to reduce down, as you know, their costs go down, and as you know, the end seller is able to sell it at a lower cost, well, then we start seeing all that kind of stuff get better and better. But it will be a slow burn for those things. Don't think they're like overnight kind of areas. So pricing is going to be all related to that. Now here's the issue that I want to throw out at you. We're at 11 minutes, but I'm going to go a few minutes longer. Marketing is going to change like nobody's business. See, when you market, you're looking at your target audience. And the problem that happens with marketing today and advertising is they have been doing interruption-based marketing, which is commercials and commercials of different type, and they interrupt you. And so with technology, mute buttons and TiVo, and with even other things, I mean, we click off technology. I mean, people are playing on their phone, and they'll set the phone down for the ad and pick it up and wait for the ad to be over, and it's finally over, then I'll go back and play the game. So interruption-based technology the interruption-based advertisement needs to die anyway, and it's been dying for a very long time. And that's one of the gorgeous points of that's been happening inside of YouTube and these other video things, is that we can have advertising inside of there, and you're looking for that content. But here's the reality: is that content is an advertising point. That's the reality that most people don't understand. Because when you're transparent and you're giving information, a car company, a cell phone company, a shoe company can talk about how we are going to custom fit, how we're going to look at a person with a 4A narrowness of shoe, how we have troubles with, sometimes people have toe issues, and their little toe, is hooked in too much, and how they can bend the shoe and all these different things. They're going to talk to you about that. They're not going to talk about brand. See, we've spent too much time on brand, and that's the thing I think we're going to see flushing of the system. See, we've tried to fake people into this. And when you have a fiat currency that is a fake, you fake people in. And yet when the consumer confidence with all those brands and all those things and all the sick things that they've been doing, when those are at its lowest, what you're going to find is that when people are going to look for transparency. When you come to them and say, this is what we're doing, this is how we're doing it, this is why we're doing it, this is why we want you to come to us, this is how we can make a difference in your life. And by the way, many companies, I've been doing this for a long time, but many other companies, small companies, have been doing it for a very long time. So we already know how to do it. It's kind of second nature to us. But a lot of other places don't know how to do it. And big companies hate it because they can't compete in that way. They try to compete by overwhelming the small business. And that's going to change too. So that level of advertising, the sickness, the way that they can kind of move their way up on search engines with pay-per-click, to try to be over top of me, the local provider with that kind of stuff is going to go away, because you're going to flush the systems. And that will make a huge difference. So you're going to find the local one, and your flair is going to be looking for the local one. It's not going to be for the big businesses. It's because they're going to have their heinies whooped just the same way as the insurances. So we're going to see a change, and that will also drive behavior and pricing. That you're going to have to see honesty, real integrity in pricing. That will affect how businesses are run. and they will change their tune. So I think that's just trying to give you a little background information on that. I'm trying to help you understand what pricing does, because I'm intimately involved in pricing every single day with that. I look at pricing on different levels, on high level products versus low level products, pricing products. And there is a different way that you do it. But I promise you, it's going to be integrity based. And you're going to see that. You'll be able to have models that will look at that too. So make sure that you subscribe and like this. Leave your comments down below. Thanks so much.